I'm Steve. Hope you're doing awesome today. So we're going to look at 7 of the most amazing, popular, famous guitar riffs from the 1970s. I'm going to count down from number 7 all the way to number 1. That one right there was Crazy on You by Heart in A minor. That one's a lot of fun. And we're going to look at Boston and AC/DC and Rush and ZZ Top, a whole bunch of them. They're probably in the beginner to intermediate. That one right there and a couple others are, borderline intermediate, but for the most part, they're pretty easy. And if you take them slow, you'll get there. All right, I'm not gonna waste any more time. Hit like, hit subscribe, and let's go. All right, at number 7, I'm in G major for Tush by ZZ Top. Really cool. I'll show you some of the extra notes here in a second too, So begin here in G major, and if you want to, you can just hit the low notes of the G, like that. But if you want to do the cool thing, you slide up from the 1st fret of the E string to the 3rd fret, like that, whether you use your finger or your thumb. Hit those notes and then go. So that's the 5th fret of the D and G strings. Those notes right there. And you go to the 3rd fret of the D and the G, back to the 5th fret, and back to the 3rd fret. Same strings right there, D and G, 5th, 3rd, 5th, 3rd. So all together. Get a good vibrato on that 3rd fret. And then after that, it goes into some blues patterns, just classic blues. I've got a video on how to play the blues, but really you're on the 3rd fret of the A string and 5th fret of the D string. And now you're playing sort of like a C chord right there, but you're playing the blues, and you put your pinky right there on the 7th fret of that D string. I ain't asking for much, and that's when it goes open E string, 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, all on that same E string, so. Very cool like that. And then back to that part. Then when it goes, the little turnaround, it goes to a D, same blues shape we just did, but now you're on the 5th and 7th fret. Back to the 3rd fret. And now you do it on these notes, the E and the A strings. Classic blues right there. And then you do back here, you're on the C note again, right there on the 3rd and 5th fret of the A and D strings, and go up to the 4th fret and up to the 5th fret. So if you know the blues, that part's pretty easy. And the main riff is that very memorable, iconic one. At number 6, we've got Working Man by Rush. Digging in there because I don't have a super distorted electric guitar like Alex Lifeson, but we're here in E major, and I'll give you the chords first because you'll hear why I'm playing these kind of notes in a second. E major, D, A major, E major, C major, D. And because of that, it's important because you're playing those root notes of those chords. So I'm hitting the low E note, the 5th fret of the A string, but that's part of the D chord, and then to the 5th fret of the E string. Now you're playing the A note, and then back to the open E, then the 3rd fret of the A string, which is part of the C chord, and up 2 frets, and now you're playing the bass part of the D chord right there. And when you really dig in, especially on those low notes right there. Now this you don't want to hit if you're just doing that note up here. You're trying not to hit really any other notes right there, or you could do a bar chord of that D, and then a bar chord of the A major. Otherwise just hit the notes, and then the C, right there. And I'm just sort of muting some strings and really rocking it. If you want to do it with chords, again, you could do this. Or use all all bar chords like that. Okay, at number 5, we're back where we began with Crazy on You by Heart in A minor. So those are the notes, and let me give you the chords. A minor to F major, G, A minor, G, A minor. Now it goes to G, F major, A minor, like that. And when you try to combine the notes and the chords a little bit, that's where it sounds amazing. All of that. So let me give you the notes. Open A string, then you go to the 2nd fret of the D string, and then release it. So you're hitting the open D, 3rd fret of the A, 2nd fret of the A, open A, and then the low F note down there, sort of 1st fret of the F chord, 1st fret of the E string, like that, whether you're using a finger or a thumb. So all together. One more time. Like that. Then hit the 3rd fret of the G, like that, and it starts it over again. And after 2 of those, it goes. That time you go to the 3rd fret of the E string for that G. It's part of the G chord right there. Then you go back to the 2nd fret of that D string, open D, same walk down. That's the 3rd of the A string, 2nd fret of the A string, and open A string, and then F chord. You're hitting the low note of the F chord, and then one more time back at that 2nd fret of the D string, open D, 3rd fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the A string, and this time you go to the 3rd fret of the E for that G and back to the A minor chord, like that. It sounds complicated, but really you're repeating the same pattern over and over again like this. Those are clones of each other. You're cloning it again until this note. There's the G. That's another clone. That's the F chord. Like that. And all fast it goes. Really, really cool. Okay, at number 4, we're in G major. We're going to play that crazy famous slide guitar riff from Freebird by Lynyrd Skynyrd without a slide guitar, like this. Really cool. Now you're in a G chord, and then he goes, if I leave here, D major to E minor, F major, C, D, like that. But that slide guitar riff goes all the way to the 12th fret of the G string. So hit anywhere down here, 1st, 2nd fret, 3rd fret of the G string, and go. Sort of quickly to the 12th fret. Now you could bend it in from the 11th, but if you don't want to, start on the 12th fret to hit it, really solid. Then you do go down to the 11th and go and bend it up to reach, essentially what would have been the 12th fret, and back to the 11th fret of the G, and do it again. You hit on the 11th and bend it up and come back down really quickly though, this time like this. And then slide this finger down to the 9th fret of that G string, 7th fret, and back to the 9th fret like that. So you're all on the G string so far. And after that, you hit the 9th and hammer it off, pull it off to the 7th fret of that G string. And this time you go to the 9th fret of the D string, and and slide it up to the 10th fret of that D string. Then you lay your finger down flat. You go to the 10th fret of the G string. Hit it 3 times. Then the 9th fret of that G string. And now you go to the 10th fret of the D again. And then right after that, somehow you want to slide it all the way down to the 5th fret. Like that, 5th fret of that D string. And then you do this little walk up from the 4th of the G, 5th of the G, and then 7th of the G. Like that, 7th of the G string. And then pull it off to the 5th, and then go to the 7th of the D string. Back up to the 7th of the G. It's like a little puzzle. And then slide any finger to the 10th fret of the E string, and also pull it off to the 8th fret of that E string. And now we're on the 10th of the B string. Back to the 10th of the E string, and slide it up to the 15th fret of that E string right there, like that. So it goes like this. You can tell I hit a few bad notes, but either way, give it a shot, practice, and you will get there for sure. At number 3, we've got that awesome riff by Boston from Peace of Mind. Very cool. So it begins here in C sharp minor to A major to E to B major with that really cool beginning part with the acoustic chords. But when the guitar kicks in, that riff is amazing. So you slide up on the D string to the 6th fret. So 6th fret of the D string, walk it down to the 4th of the D string, and now you're going to the 7th fret right there of the A string, and then the 4th fret of the A string. So together so far. You're gonna need your pinky. It's a great little riff to practice your pinky exercises. Hit it a few times right there and go to the 6th fret of that A string, to the 7th fret with your pinky of that A string, and right here, first finger on the 4th fret of the D string. And now you go right here to the 6th fret of the A string, 7th fret of the A, back to the 6th fret of the A string, and put your pinky on the 7th fret of the E string, the low E, and back to the 4th fret of the A string. So all together so far. Practice that a few times, get the rhythm. Don't stress out your hand. You'll get a cramp and you might even hurt your wrist. Like low pressure will help you a lot. And after that part, you put your pinky on the 7th fret of that A string, 4th fret of the D string, 6th fret of the D string, now the 7th, like that. So it goes like this. Yep, like that. After that, you go to the 4th fret of that D string, back to the 6th fret. And this is pretty hard. You gotta do it super fast. You go a hammer on from the 4th of the 6th, back to the 4th, super fast. And then 7th fret of the A string, and back to the 4th fret of the A string. But that part is really fast. It goes like this. Practice that, but it happens in like a millisecond. 4th of the D, 6th of the D, and back to the 4th of the D, but that's the hammer. And then pinky on that 7th of the A string and 4th of the A string. So. practice it, just make sure you hit it tight. And I didn't even hit it tight right there. Then after that, when it does it again, sorry. So it does the exact same thing, and when it does that last little, this time you sort of do the hammer on from the 4th to the 6th and slide it down to the 2nd fret, which is part of that E major chord, and goes really cool, and then you're ready for the verse. All right, the last one ended up in E major, and that's where we land here for number 2. Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution by AC/DC. It goes like this. Showed you 2 ways to play it. One is a little bit easier than the other. We'll give them a shot. So this one is, I think the way Angus Young really plays it, you're on the 6th fret of the D string and 4th fret of the G string. You go like this. Quick staccato. You slide this finger up to the 7th fret, but this one goes up 2 frets to the 6th fret. So you're on the 6th fret of the G and 7th fret of the D, and then bring them back up, and this time, this one goes to the 9th fret, the D string, right there, 9th fret of the D string, and this is on the 7th fret of the G string. And when you do, you want to give it this awesome, try to double vibrato both of them, crazy, and then you go back down, and back up. And after that, 3rd fret of the E string, vibrato it, and then open E. Let me give you this slow. Ready? So the key is just really getting these nice and tight, but then somehow getting your finger back to that 3rd fret really fast. So a little bit easier way to play it, you can sort of do it in this E major area. So if you play an E major, you've already got your 1st finger on the 1st fret of the G string and the open B string. So listen. Then you lay your finger down, any finger, or your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the G and B strings, and then slide this finger up on the G string to the 4th fret, and put this finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, like that. And then you go back down to that flat, like laying down flat on the 2nd fret of the G and B strings, and back up. Same notes we just did, and then, so. Either way you do it. I think that sounds better, and to me it's easier because you can vibrato both strings really well up here. And coming in at number 1, Sweet Emotion by Aerosmith. What a fun song to play here. It's in A major, but we begin here with that rockin' D major to A major, super fast. Like that. Hit the low notes at the A and try to palm mute. Give it another little click right there, and then you do this. Easier than you think too. So you're hitting the low parts of an A major and hit the 3rd fret of that A string, bend it up a little bit and pull it off. And then, see, I'm not even clicking here, picking. You go to the 3rd fret of the E string, and then you want to hit the open A string right there. So practice that a few times if you haven't already. So that time I'm picking, but you could go, whatever you do, the last note, I think you're gonna have to hit that A string with your picks. Or you really hit everything, pick everything except that hammer off that note right there. So D major, D, A. Do it a couple times, you know, wearing those things that no one wears. And then when it goes into that rockin' part, it goes like this. So would put your finger, let's see, third finger on the 5th fret of the A string and hammer it. No, I would say hammer. Pull off to the 3rd fret of that A string and also pull it off. So it's a double pull off. Ready? I'm only picking once. Try that. And after that, go to the open E string to the 2nd fret, to the 3rd fret, 4th fret, back to the open A. So one more time. Okay, that last one, it just did single little walk ups from the 2nd, 3rd, 4th fret of that E string, open to the open A, and then it rocks it again. That is a lot of fun. Let me know what you think about all of them. Hit like and subscribe if this was helpful, and give me more ideas for videos like this, some more lists that you want to hear, and all of your favorite songs, and I'll try to get to them. Catch you later.